Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. My name's Derek. If you had asked me a year ago, I would have told you my marriage was solid. 7 years in, and it still felt like a partnership. Alice and I had been through a lot, 10 years total, counting the time we dated. We'd seen layoffs, cross-country moves, and 2 failed IVF cycles. But we always circled back to each other. Alice worked in event coordination, always buzzing around town, planning banquets, galas, and charity things I never really understood. I'm in logistics. My job is routine. Hers was chaos. Maybe that's what balanced us out. We never had kids. First year into marriage, we started trying. After 2 miscarriages, the doctor said to pause. Give it time. She wanted to keep going. I didn't argue. I wanted kids too. One Thursday night, Alice came home holding an envelope. Melissa's getting married in Denver next month, she said. Destination wedding. The whole gang's going. Melissa was her college friend, not someone I knew well. She's renting out this mountain lodge for the weekend, Alice went on. It's going to be beautiful. Rehearsal dinner Friday, ceremony Saturday, brunch Sunday. That's a 3-day thing, I said. You want me to come? She hesitated. Well, Liza and I were thinking we'd go together. You've got that end-of-quarter crunch at work. I figured it might be better if you stayed. Just this once? It wasn't the first time we'd done something separately. I didn't see any red flags. Go, I said. Have fun. Just don't come back married to anyone else. She laughed, kissed me on the cheek. You've got nothing to worry about. I dropped her at the airport myself. She packed light, wore a denim jacket, waved as she walked through security. Nothing about that morning felt off. I drove back thinking how lucky I was, a woman I trusted, and who trusted me. I didn't know then that the entire story would start to change. Alice was gone for 3 days. She sent me a photo from the plane on day 1, her and Liza with champagne flutes. The caption said, "Bridesmaids behaving badly." I laughed and sent back a thumbs up. That was our thing, easy, low-effort texts when we were apart. Neither of us was overly clingy. I stayed busy. Work was heavy that week. We had a warehouse expansion that hit a few snags, so I was on the phone with the team nonstop. I barely noticed the house was quieter than usual. She texted me the morning of the wedding. The rain cleared up, ceremony's on. I'll call you later tonight. But the call never came. The next day she texted, sorry, long night. I'll tell you everything when I'm back. No big deal. I wasn't the jealous type, never had reason to be. Sunday night, I picked her up at the airport. She looked tired but happy. Wore a loose sweater and leggings. She tossed her suitcase in the trunk and kissed me as she got in. How was it? I asked. She leaned her head against the window. Beautiful. Melissa looked like a magazine bride. We danced for hours. You would have hated it. I'm guessing there was no signal out there. Barely. I had like 2 bars if I stood on the porch. The drive home was casual. She talked about old college stories. At home, we ate Thai takeout and watched something mindless. Later that night, she curled up beside me in bed. She seemed more affectionate than usual. But something was off. I just hadn't felt it yet. 2 weeks later, I woke up with a strange rash on my arms. I chalked it up to an allergy, maybe the detergent. But then came the fever and the fatigue. And that's when I booked a doctor's appointment. The doctor ran the usual labs, blood work, urine, and a swab I'd rather not talk about. He told me it was probably viral. Let's rule things out, he said. Could be a reaction to something. 2 days later, he called me into the office. He shut the door behind him, sat down slowly, and folded his hands. That's when I knew it wasn't seasonal allergies. You tested positive for chlamydia, he said. I stared at him. That's not possible. He glanced at the chart. Derek, these tests are reliable. Have you had any new partners recently? I've been with my wife. Only my wife. He nodded. Didn't say anything else. Just let the silence do the work. After a long pause, I said, there must be some mistake. He gave me the kind of look people give when they want to believe you but already know better. You can always get retested, but I'd suggest you have a conversation with your partner. I didn't argue. I walked out with the prescription paper still folded in my jacket pocket, got in the car, drove straight to a different clinic across town, and asked for the full panel again. Another test, another round of waiting. 3 days later, same result. I sat in the car outside the clinic, holding the second set of results in my hand. Same as before. positive. I stared at the paper for a long time. I hadn't been with anyone but Alice, and she'd been with me, which meant someone else had been too. I didn't confront her right away. I didn't even know why. Maybe I was in shock, or maybe I needed to be absolutely sure. That night, while she was in the shower, something gnawed at me. I got up and checked her purse. Nothing. Just the usual. Wallet, lipstick, a couple receipts from the grocery store. But then I remembered her travel bag. When she got back, I'd helped her unpack it and tossed it into the closet. She'd said she barely brought anything. I pulled it down, unzipped the main compartment. Empty. Then I checked the side pocket. There it was, a crumpled pharmacy receipt, dated the day after she returned. The medication wasn't one I recognized. I looked it up. Antibiotic, used to treat chlamydia. My hands were shaking. 10 minutes later, she stepped out of the shower, towel wrapped around her, hair damp. "Hey," she said. "You okay?" I held up the receipt. "What's this for?" She blinked. "Oh, that was for Liza. She forgot her ID, so I picked up her prescription." I didn't say anything, just stared. "That's the truth," she said again, firmer this time. I walked over to the nightstand, pulled out my test results, and laid them on the bed. Then the second set. She didn't touch them, didn't ask what they were. "You want to try again?" I asked. Her face broke, not from sadness, but from panic. She sat on the edge of the bed and covered her mouth. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she said. "Who was it?" It was just someone at the wedding, someone I used to know. I had too much to drink. I didn't plan it." "Name?" "It doesn't matter, Derek. I swear it was one night. I didn't even talk to him after." "You could have given me something worse than chlamydia." "I know," she whispered. "I know. I'm sorry." She reached for me, but I stepped back. "We slept together the night you got back," I said. "And the next day, you filled that prescription." Tears started down her face. I didn't know for sure yet. I thought I was being careful. I shook my head. "No, you were being quiet." She didn't answer. I didn't yell. Didn't slam doors. I just picked up my pillow and walked to the guest room. Something in me had already started shutting off. The first night in the guest room, I didn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling fan. The next morning, she knocked on the door. "I made coffee," she said, voice soft. I didn't answer. She knocked again at lunch. "Want something to eat?" Silence again. For 4 straight days, she tried to act like life was normal. I could see her trying to reset things, like she thought this would blow over if she stayed calm, stayed sweet. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. Cold. Still. On the 5th day, I called a divorce attorney. Quietly. No drama. No big declarations. My name was the only one on the deed to the house. It was a gift from my father before he passed. By the 7th day, the papers were drawn up. The morning they were served, I was at work. When I got home, Alice was sitting on the couch, papers in hand, eyes red and swollen. "You're divorcing me?" she asked, like it was the most unthinkable thing I could have done. "I told you I can't come back from that," I said. "It was one mistake. You didn't tell me about it. You let me sleep with you after. You only admitted it when you had no way out. That's not a mistake. That's a decision." Her voice broke. "Can't we at least try counseling? Something?" I shook my head. "I'm not rebuilding a house you set on fire." She stood, got angry, then. "So that's it? You're just done?" "No, Alice. You were done the minute you got on that plane and decided to rewrite the rules." She didn't speak, just stared at me with a look that was somewhere between grief and disbelief. She moved out a few days later. I thought that was the end of it. But then Liza, her friend, texted me, said she needed to talk. Liza asked if we could meet in person. We sat at a corner booth in a quiet cafe. She didn't touch her coffee. "I shouldn't be doing this," she said, "but I don't feel right keeping it to myself." I waited. That guy at the wedding? The one Alice said it was just a one-time thing with? That's not true. I stayed still. Let her keep going. She's been talking to him for a while, months, maybe longer. I only figured it out because I saw some messages on her iPad when we were rooming together. She panicked when she realized I saw. "What kind of messages?" I asked. Liza hesitated. "Private. One of them said, 'Can't wait to see you.' That was a week before the wedding." "Did she say his name?" "Victor. He used to be her boss. back at that event firm she left. That hit hard. I remembered Victor, an older guy, married, had an office near downtown. He gave Alice a glowing reference when she switched companies. I'd met him once at a holiday party. He shook my hand, smiled, and told me I was a lucky man. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because you deserve to know. Alice wasn't just reckless. She was calculating. I kept quiet because she's my friend. But now, after everything, I can't pretend I don't see what she's really doing." I thanked Liza, paid for coffee, and left. At home, I opened WhatsApp on my computer. She must have logged in months ago and never disconnected. There he was, Victor, dozens of messages, some casual, others not. A few with hotel confirmations. One, dated 6 weeks before the wedding, read, "We'll have a full weekend this time." I sat back in my chair. This wasn't a one-night lapse. This was a second life, a second man, and probably a second set of lies she was spinning to him. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't just going to end it. I was going to make sure the right people knew exactly who they were dealing with. I found Victor's wife the same way I'd found the messages, methodically. Her name was on one of the holiday party invites from years back. A little online searching, and there she was. I didn't send anything dramatic, just the truth. "Hi, you don't know me, but I'm Derek, Alice's soon-to-be ex-husband. You may already know this, but your husband, Victor, and my wife were having an affair. I have messages and hotel confirmations that make it clear this wasn't a one-time thing. I'm not trying to cause trouble. I just thought you deserved to know, the same way I wish someone had told me sooner. I won't reach out again. What you do with this is entirely up to you. No emotion, no spin, just facts." I hit send, closed the laptop, and didn't check again. That part wasn't mine to follow. A week later, Alice's lawyer sent over a final request, a settlement suggestion. I declined it. The house was mine. Everything else she could have. When the final divorce papers came in, I didn't even feel angry. I felt light, like I could finally stop carrying something that had been dragging behind me for months. Alice tried calling once more after that. No voicemail, just a missed call. I didn't return it. I wasn't interested in hearing another version of "it didn't mean anything." It had meant something, just not what she wanted to admit. I'd learned something important through all of this. Peace doesn't come from fixing what's broken. It comes from walking away before the damage becomes your identity. I changed the locks the day after the papers were signed, cleaned out the guest room. I didn't need a keepsake from a life that wasn't real anymore. A few months after the divorce was finalized, I heard that Alice had moved to Chicago. She took a job with a smaller event company, and from what I gathered, she kept a low profile. She never contacted me again after that last missed call. No letters, no dramatic confessions. And I was fine with that. Some endings don't need conversations. Some people exit your life exactly the way they earned it, quietly, permanently, and with no return policy. Now, I get up early, go to work, keep my circle tight. I sleep better, and most of all, I trust my gut. Because next time, I won't ignore it. Not ever again. Thank you for watching.